and welcome to another, hopefully, fantastic live event here from Force 13. We're discussing all the storms that are currently active. Just the one main system, really. That's Cyclone Nathan. That'd be me, wouldn't it? My name is Nathan Foy. I'm also joined by our guests, Daniel Hudson, who's laughing at something at the moment.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not laughing.
you were.
Oh,
We're also
oh.
joined by Jason, who I think will be doing some screen sharing. I think that picture is Cyclone Nathan right now, by the way, on his profile. And Nick as well, who joins us from across the pond. Nice to have you with us once more.
Hello, YouTube.
Hi. We can
Oh well.
barely hear you, so we'll see how well that goes. But let me just do, well, first of all, tell you everything that's going on in the world of storms. So, Cyclone Nathan, there it is right now. At last count, last check, it was at 90 miles per hour. Its air pressure was around 963 millibars. Position was 14.7 degrees south, 148.2 degrees east. What does that mean for Queensland? Tropical storm warnings, tropical cyclone warnings are in effect, extending from Cairns northwards all the way to Lockhart River, and in the middle of that is Cape Flattery, which is at the moment where the storm could make landfall, projected to make landfall as a Category 4 on the Australian scale. At present, it's a Category 3 on that scale, which is Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale at this time. Could be Cat 2 very soon. Beyond that, you don't quite get the full forecast from there, but on the JTWC's map, the latest map, you should be able to see where it's expected to go. Here we are, predicting a much longer track for, of course, the landfall in far north Queensland, and then moving into the Gulf of Carpentaria, still as a tropical storm, where it could re-intensify into a hurricane force cyclone, and then skim the top end there as a tropical storm as well, not too far from Darwin at the 5-day point. And then what's left of it, it will probably be fairly weak, but it may well continue on into the South Indian Ocean, at least for a little while, before being gone with us completely. But we'll check out the models shortly to take a look at that. Daniel?
Well, it's certainly increased in intensity, hasn't it?
It's well, it's been some people have called it rapid intensification in the past few hours. It's certainly gone up from earlier in the day when we've been watching. The eye appeared, then it disappeared, and it's probably going to be on the cusp of appearing once more. So obviously we'll be keeping eyes on that. The latest satellite image, obviously you can see it there. I don't know whether we've got visible imagery yet. We may have. Obviously we started a little bit later this evening to try and cater to those in Australia where morning has arrived, of course. There is the storm on the latest visible image. It's not particularly large, but it is, of course, a very potent cyclone, and its smallness, it's been a feature all the way through, really. Its lack of size may well aid in its intensification in the next 2 days before landfall, or less than 2 days perhaps, in Queensland. What timescale were we looking at? Yes, we were looking at 24 hours from now to make the landfall in Queensland near Cape Flattery. We're expecting, obviously, around the landfall time. We'll be looking at that, and obviously we'll do live updates as and when necessary.
I imagine the smaller a storm is, the faster it'll be moving, won't it?
Not necessarily, actually.
No.
The size of the storm doesn't influence how fast they move. That's usually the atmosphere around it and what's going on in the storm's area. For example, well, we saw it with Nathan when we had Cyclone Pam, which moved towards the south. Obviously, we'll be talking about that shortly as well, and its aftermath in Vanuatu. But Cyclone Pam was partly the reason why Nathan was stalling near the coast of Queensland, because it was effectively in the way, and Nathan wanted to move east, but it didn't. And instead is going to arrive in Queensland once more as a significant storm.
Yeah.
So more on that shortly. Jason's map shows, oh, it's mirrored actually. It's facing the wrong way, Jason. I'm not sure you're familiar whether you know that or not, but it's inverted. But you can just about see the storm pretty much, as I said, if you flip it round, moving across the top end and then into the South Indian Ocean. I'm not sure why that is mirrored. At least it is on my screen. I'm not sure about everyone else's. But well, that was rather strange. How odd. Anyway, what we also have right now are what is left of Tropical Storm Bavi in the Western Pacific. It's been named by Pegasa. That happened yesterday. It's been named Betty. May strike, or well, I don't know if you could call it a strike, but affect the northern part of the Philippines near Manila in the next few days. Whatever's left of it, not much it seems. Maybe some heavy rainfall here and there. We'll keep our eyes on that one too. Invest 97p is another Pacific threat, quite possibly. It was near Samoa yesterday. It's moved towards the west-northwest since then, and the models are currently projecting that to become possibly a tropical cyclone before affecting Fiji, quite possibly as a tropical storm or greater. In fact, I wonder whether we could have a look at those models right now. First of all, you can see Cyclone Nathan. As I remarked earlier, you can see the eye, a tiny eye that appeared in the storm. That was when it was at 75 miles per hour. Since then, it intensified significantly and still flaring up. And I'm guessing the eye will begin to appear once more in the coming frames. But yeah, that's Cyclone Nathan. Spiral bands beginning to affect the Australian coast once more. That northern periphery band there extending as far as Papua New Guinea. But of course, Australia, that area around the warning zone, we'll be expecting some heavy rainfall and strong winds. We'll get some observations for you shortly as well. Nick, anything to say about that development?
No, really.
Caught you off guard a bit. Okay. Okay. In the meantime, oh yes, Jason does have the radar up there. Yeah, it is still mirrored on my screen. I'm not sure whether you guys, Nick or Daniel, can confirm that for me, or whether it's just my screen playing up. But how odd! We've never had that before. But it seems to be mirrored on my screen. Anyway, we'll come back to that if we can shortly. The funny thing is, on the preview screen at the bottom of my little control room here, it is projected the right way. So I'm not sure what the problem may be with that.
It's
but
not weird on my screen.
Is it not?
Yeah, it's not weird.
Oh, how interesting. Well, I don't know what you're seeing on your screen right now, everyone, but it does appear to be mirrored on my screen. So anyway, but there is the radar imagery. As far as I can tell, Cyclone Nathan, the center of it is just towards the top right of your image there. It's top left for me, but never mind. And the observations, what's that, 72 kilometers per hour wind on one of those reefs. I can't really read it because it's facing the wrong way around. But that's not too far from the center of the storm, so I guess you would expect that sort of thing in miles per hour. That's approaching 50. That's sustained winds as well, I believe. And you can see some rainfall beginning to affect the coast as well, in between Cape Flattery and points northwards. What sort of area? Or southwards even. Wrong way round. I'm getting completely confused with what's going on there. But let's take a look at the model runs now for what's going on with Cyclone Nathan and the invest in the South Pacific. That low pressure system towards your bottom right, is that still Pam, or did another one take its place? I've not been watching. But Cyclone Nathan expected to make landfall here. There you can see it, and then move inland, and then re-emerge back over sea, over the Gulf of Carpentaria, where it may intensify once more, possibly to hurricane force, and then graze the top end of Australia as it continues on its journey westward. And there will still be something left of it once it enters the Indian Ocean and continues towards the west. So we'll see where that goes. In the last few frames, you can sort of see it petering out a bit near the coast of the Western Australia. So we'll keep our eyes on that. As far as the low pressure systems around Fiji and Samoa are concerned, let's take a look at how that progresses in the next few frames. You can see it impacting Fiji, the eastern Fijian islands. Doesn't look particularly strong, but maybe a weak tropical storm, and then moves on to Tonga, where it will stall as well. And in the meantime, whilst that's all going on, it seems to be like a little bit of circle going on here, spiraling round. And lots of areas of rainfall around these areas, low pressure systems. I'm not sure whether any of those will develop into tropical cyclones or not, but it appears that this current system which is Invest 97p, could possibly become a weak tropical cyclone. Eyes on that in the next few days, of course. Daniel, are you with us?
Yes, yes.
Did you have some difficulties there?
No, I just don't really. I don't really know what to say.
Oh, I see. Some things never change. Here's some webcams from Vanuatu. I'm not sure whether these are live. I think they are. You can see one image from Port Vila, says Main Road. Looks a little bit of a mess in the distance around there, but it's difficult to actually see any particulars on that. There's another image with some what appears to be some smoke on the right-hand side. Why am I echoing again?
Have you enabled a recording thing?
What's that?
Have you enabled stereo mix in the recording devices?
No.
Oh, no idea then.
But there's an image from Vanuatu, just refreshing there. What appears to be, I don't know whether there's some sort of fires or something going on the right-hand side. I'm not sure what that is, what the situation is with that, but evidently it seems that some communications are back online in Vanuatu if we're getting these webcams, which is of course not an essential, really, is it, when you think of it? So we must at least have some sort of communications back in Port Vila at this time.
Yeah. The total number of fatalities is 28, isn't it? Now.
Let me try and find all the latest news on what's happened with Cyclone Pam. Last I heard, it was revised downward from 24 to 11, so I'm not sure whether that may have gone up once more. But the latest news that we had is that it was still 11, and of course lots of aid still coming into the area as well as Tuvalu as well, which had some problems from Cyclone Pam too. And I'm just taking a look on the news links here, if my mouse wheel works. Just the UNICEF publishing a humanitarian situation report. Wash supplies for 2,000 families handed over to provincial government in Tanna Island. 48 cartons of health supplies arriving in Port Vila by air, and 5 containers ready for dispatch. 3,370 people in evacuation centres, but registration confirmation is still awaited from all islands. And up to 42% of families in Tuvalu on the northern islands had homes, crops, water sources, public and private services all damaged. Solomon Islands, aerial assessment shows that damage is not extensive, although situation on the ground is not confirmed. That's just one article with bullet points there from UNICEF. The situation with that, you can see on Jason's screen right now. Cyclone Nathan, the latest image of it, dry air lingering to the south. It's been the case for quite some time. Around the cyclone, at least in its immediate vicinity, not looking too bad. I wonder whether dry air will significantly weaken the storm, especially when it moves inland. We'll watch out for that. And but yeah, not particularly showing an eye in that image. We did see it a few hours ago. Maybe it will emerge again very soon. But at this present time, the cyclone at least consolidating, perhaps intensifying, as it has been doing for some time. The last update had it at, well, the current update has it at 90 miles per hour. That's sustained winds. That's around 150 kilometers per hour or thereabouts, maybe slightly less than that, but still fairly strong. Wind speeds sustained in some parts of the outlying reefs are 72 kilometers per hour is the highest that we saw, I think. Which is around, what's that, 45, 50 miles per hour nearly. And I'll actually take a look at those observations for myself just to make sure that I was right in that, because I was trying to read a mirrored image. Don't forget, Cyclone Nathan is a Category 3 storm on the Australian scale, and it could make landfall as a Category 4 on the Australian scale, with winds maybe of over 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, probably higher than that actually. JTWC currently indicating that wind speeds will get to 115 miles per hour, category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale before landfall, with gusts of up to 145 miles per hour, which is well over 200 kilometers per hour. But I'm just going to get the radar imagery up on my screen, as well as Jason's. There's the track map you can see there. And that's basically outlining what we saw initially. And yes, I can confirm, just looking back at our feed right now, that the mirrored image that appears on my screen is actually not occurring on the live feed. So big sigh of relief. So you should be able to see clearly without it being swapped around, because I'm reading it and it's like it's been written on the other side of a window. But you can see the latest radar imagery there from Jason, showing the storm beginning to approach. The eye is still quite clearly discernible on the Australian radar. Of course, if you have any comments for us on our show this evening, we're running for an hour. We're 15 minutes into that hour already. Of course, you can do so on our chat feature on YouTube, or indeed through any of our social mediums. Search Force 13 on Facebook and Twitter.
I'd just like to say that I've just returned because it crashed.
Oh dear.
Mm.
Don't worry, you haven't missed too much. I don't know whether you could, whether Daniel or Nick could find us information on more information on the aftermath on Cyclone Pam. I know that one source earlier today said that it may well take weeks just for information to reach us on some islands. Never mind the actions that will then need to be taken to restore those communities on outlying islands back to normal.
Yeah. I can't really find information currently.
Yes.
It's not very feasible for me.
Never mind, Daniel. At least you provide us with the light entertainment. And now I'm just doing a lot of typing, so do excuse me just for a quick moment whilst I because I do what I keep forgetting to do, which is post on the social pages that we're on air, which might help.
Oh dear.
There's Jason showing us the wider view of what's going on. Daylight falling over Australia as we speak. It just looks so weird when it's inverted. Australia doesn't look like the same place. But yes, if you've just joined us, Cyclone Nathan, a 90-mile-per-hour storm, which, I mean, what is that in kilometers per hour? I need to try and figure that out. 90 miles per hour in kilometers an hour, so 145 kilometers per hour. That's its current sustained winds near the center of the storm, likely to intensify significantly, possibly to 115 miles per hour, which would be 185 kilometers per hour by the time it makes landfall in the northern part of Queensland.
Is there anything you need? I could...
Well, what is also interesting is that we've launched another Twitter account very recently, and it's going to be, we've not done any tweets on it yet, but it's going to be for cyclone history, and what's more than that, it's also about on this day features as well. So we'll be posting about what happened on this day and posting some nice pictures. The handle is @cyclonehistory, so just search Cyclone History on Twitter, and hopefully it's the first one that appears. I've not actually done that practice yet, so it might not be the first one that appears, but I just launched that today, and we've not actually done a tweet yet, but we will be doing in due course. So make sure to follow it if you'd like to be informed every day. Anyway, spot Cyclone Nathan on Jason's screen. It's so small you could confuse it for 97p with the untrained eye. But it is in the centre of your image, along the eastern coast of Australia, in the northern part of Queensland. with dry air to the south. That's marked out by the yellow area there. Very moist air in its current latitude, and towards the east in particular as well. So that's Cyclone Nathan. We also have what's left of Tropical Depression Bavi, which is very little, admittedly. You can actually see it on the screen there. Well, if you know where to look, near the Philippines, very little left of that at this point. But Pagasa have named it Betty, and it could go on to strike the area around Manila. But as you can see, Jason's showing it's in a sea of dry air.
I
You just faded away there, Daniel. I think we've lost him. If you can hear us, we've lost you. Anyway, let's return. There's the JTWC map showing how Cyclone Nathan is expected to impact Australia. Don't forget, warnings are in effect, not quite as expansive as they used to be. They did extend from Innisfail, but they now extend from Cairns northward to Lockhart River is the warning area. That includes all the areas along the coast: Port Douglas, Cape Tribulation, Cooktown, Cape Flattery, Cape Melville, and all areas inland including Cohen, Laura, and Palmerville. That's where warnings currently extend. Along the coast there, near Cape Flattery, we may see winds of 115 miles per hour, Category 4 on the Australian scale. And, of course, possibly Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale as well. Jason's showing us more imagery of the current situation with Nathan, and that I think is actually a forecast projection showing the storm. Or is that current? I think it's a forecast with how the storm is expected to go on, and indeed where we are currently. Of course, the forecast calls for the storm to move inland and emerge over the Gulf of Carpentaria, and quite possibly re-intensify to become a hurricane-force cyclone over the Gulf of Carpentaria before another landfall near Australia's top end. As Jason shows us on this model here, GFS says that it will skirt that northern coast and then move into the Indian Ocean side and probably dissipate completely just off the coast in around 10 days' time. But that's a very far way out, so it could pan out differently. The NavGem has a different scenario, at least for the last 2 days, with the storm moving inland, not too far from Darwin, and then dissipating, of course, as it dips towards the south. So that's in the next 5 days. Of course, the immediate threat lies with the eastern coast of Queensland, but just a heads up for those of you who were affected by Cyclone Lam, with maybe another one on the way very soon.
Yes. I had a question.
Yeah.
About Cyclone, about Bavi, but I was rudely interrupted by the app crashing. I thought it was due to intensify.
Well, initial models had Bavi to make landfall, believe it or not, in the Philippines as a Category 1 typhoon. Obviously, that hasn't verified, luckily, and it's very weak tropical depression now. Even Pagasa, who seem to designate almost anything, say that the storm will not even make it to the Philippines without it being not worthy of being tracked by the looks of things. Otherwise, it'd extend that track map to cover the Philippines.
I thought that Nathan would be the opposite. I thought Nathan would be the one being downgraded.
But that's just because you don't like me, isn't it?
No. I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like the storm.
You mean it's not that you don't like me?
You confused me now.
You just said that you didn't like me. Anyway, enough of that. Jason's showing us the first visible image of arriving for what's left of Tropical Storm Bavi near the Philippines. It's just a open swirl of clouds surrounded by dry air at this point. Yeah, with regards to Australia, I've got the radar imagery up myself, so I can confirm the observations that are occurring at the moment. Bougainville Reef is the area currently experiencing the highest winds, 72 kilometers per hour it received in the past in the past half hour to an hour. It actually had higher wind speeds earlier than that. What's the highest there? 80, I think I saw. Oh no, we're looking at gusts there. The highest gust so far has been 95. So it is getting pretty gusty over there. 95 kilometers per hour. That, of course, is around 60 miles per hour with the wind gust. And the air pressure there currently has risen a bit. It's 1,006. Is that true? It must be a very compact storm if it's 1,006. And it was 1,004.9 not so long ago. Air pressure, QNH.
Ow.
What? You just
Pardon?
said ow randomly. The Cyclone Nathan.
I just hit my hand on something.
Excellent. Okay, time here in the UK, it's 11:26. In Australia, it is. I worked this out actually. What time is it over there? Is it nearly 9:30 in the morning? I think we're getting that right. Or is it later than that? I don't even remember. I'll actually look that up just to help everyone out here, not to get confused by time zones. The time in Australia, yes, I was right. 26 minutes past 9 in the morning. Those in Vanuatu, 10:26 a.m., where we have 5 days, or 4 or 5 days, since the passage of Cyclone Pam. And of course, people still recovering, and news still getting to us every day. The death toll may well rise.
Are there any deaths expected from Nathan?
Well, it's going to be another intense storm. Obviously, Australia, we don't often see too many fatalities that occur from cyclones, but we may well see something bad happen there in the next few days, possibly, if people don't heed the warnings, and maybe the unlucky few as well. That sometimes happens, doesn't it? Let me just break to you then on a slight gear change at the moment, just to deliver the news on what happened on this day, March the 18th and the 19th. Well, on the 18th, on my records, which aren't by any means expansive, on the 18th of March, Tropical Storm Larry formed in the Coral Sea in 2006, Category 5 if I remember correctly, on at least the Australian scale, and Tropical Storm Wati formed in the South Pacific in 2006 as well on the 19th of March. Larry made landfall in Queensland as a Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, and it did cause 1 fatality and $1.1 billion in damages. So a similar intensity, stronger actually than what we're expecting in the next few days from Nathan. I wonder whether we can compare to Larry by the time this is finished. I don't know where exactly Larry made landfall, but just an interesting one that occurred at a similar time of year. So let's recap at this point for those of you who have just joined us. Tropical Cyclone Nathan, currently with winds of 90 miles per hour. That's the latest information. Air pressure is around 963 millibars at its center. Position was 14.7 degrees south, 148.2 degrees east, headed towards Australia. Warnings are in effect from Cairns to Lockhart River, including places inland as far as Laura and Palmerville. We also have, that's the visible image, what's left of Tropical Storm Bevy, a depression at best, currently with winds only of 25 miles per hour, 1,007 millibars, headed towards the Philippines. Pagasa have named it Betty. And Invest 97p, which may well become our next cyclone in the Pacific. Could be more trouble for the Pacific, but luckily it doesn't look like it will be Vanuatu. Instead, Fiji may see some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds in the next few days. We'll keep all eyes on this one to see what develops, but let's hope it's not a significant problem for Fiji or the rest of the Pacific. Of course, we'll keep you updated with any news that I can find on Cyclone Pam and its aftermath. The webcams are back up and running, at least 2 of them are. There's one view from Port Vila, and there's another with a wide shot of what's going on. If anyone has any suggestions as to what the smoky areas are to the right, we'd love to hear them, because we're not entirely sure. We believe this is live, or near live at least, from Port Vila in Vanuatu. Daniel?
I was just saying I don't know what the smoky things are.
Ah. Very good, very good.
And I take back all my nasty statements about Hurricane Nathan being weak.
I'm just looking at what happened with Cyclone Larry, actually. And it actually affected an area further south. Larry made landfall, where was it? Further south in Queensland. Where exactly? I'm trying to read where. Towards Innisfail, I think, was where Larry made landfall. At least that's where the worst of the damage occurred. South of Cairns. It did hit as a Category 4, a strong one at that. Waniel, why are you laughing?
Nothing.
Okay, you've said that twice now. Oh, look, Jason's showing his Larry as well. Very good.
Sorry about laughing.
Yeah. It caused 1 fatality and $1.1 billion of damages. We don't expect that Nathan will be as bad as Larry. 2 reasons. One, because it's striking an area further north and not necessarily quite as populated. And 2, we don't expect it to be as strong as Larry either. It will probably be around 115 miles per hour compared to Larry, which struck with 155 miles per hour sustained winds at landfall. It quickly intensified before doing so, so I guess we need to be on our guard, because Nathan may well do the same, but we're not expecting it at this time, though it is intensifying fairly quickly at this point in time. Warnings in effect from Cairns to Lockhart River, Category 3 on the Australian scale, likely to make landfall late this evening, overnight, into the early hours Australian time, as a Category 4 on the Australian scale. Winds expected to be around 185 kilometers per hour. Oh, server not found.
Has Nick got anything to say?
Nick's not here anymore.
Oh.
He seems to have deserted us. There's another view of Cyclone Nathan once more. What do you think of that, Wayne, whilst I find something else to look at? Very informative. There's another view showing the... Oh, there's another one as well. Those of you who haven't yet seen some of the images from the cyclone, I'll try and get them up for you at some point. Manuel seems to have got the giggles again.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm mute myself.
Yeah, maybe you should as punishment. There's a wide shot once more showing the whole area. Spot Nathan, it's a tiny one near the centre. And here I'm going to show you now one image that I think is pretty striking from Cyclone Pam in Vanuatu. We haven't seen many images come out yet of the actual damage that it caused in Vanuatu. We've seen quite a few images of aid workers and people beginning to arrive and supplies beginning to arrive in Vanuatu. Obviously a bad situation there. We don't know how bad just yet. It could possibly be several deaths. So obviously we're looking at least 11. I think that's still the confirmed total. There was suspicions that it was 24 at one point, but they revised it downwards to 11. But I expect that we will be seeing some more yet. We still don't have much word from the outlying islands, but reconnaissance aircraft have flown over those areas to take a look at what the damage looks like, and on some places they were reporting around 90% damage on some islands, I think.
Is Pam complete?
Pam's no longer with us, yes.
Complete.
Yeah. Here's one image from me from UNICEF showing a tree that fell onto what looks like a vehicle. You see the size of that tree as well. It looks pretty damn sizable. That photo from UNICEF. Obviously, the area around Port Vila and those islands further south, Erromango, is it called, and Tanna, we're expecting to see the worst damage from. The storm affected these areas as a Category 5 on both the Australian scale and the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Winds were around 165 miles per hour, 265 kilometers per hour. Gusts were as high as 200 miles per hour. That's 320 kilometers per hour when it passed these islands. So it would be no surprise, unfortunately, if we saw Category 5 damage.
Has any footage emerged yet from within the storm?
I believe there was on some places. But yeah, the pictures of the aftermath, there aren't too many of those out just yet. Unless I've not been looking hard enough. But that is just one image of what happened with Cyclone Pam. Cyclone Nathan going on to affect Australia. It's nothing new. We saw what Cyclone Larry did in 2006 around the same time of year. I'm not saying Nathan will be as bad as Cyclone Larry. There it was. And quite funny, Jason, the imagery from your screen has actually righted itself. I've no idea why. Initially, I mean, the first half of this whole show, I was looking at it mirrored. Even though you could see it, everyone watching at home, you could see it normally. I was looking at it the wrong way round, and you couldn't see anything at all. You couldn't really read anything. But thankfully, it's returned normally.
Good.
Yeah. Looking at my screen at this time, anyone who may have just joined us, oh please, now mine is mirrored. I don't get this at all. Anyway, enough technical issues, I'll go on anyway professionally. Category 3 at this time, expected to make landfall as a Category 4 near Cape Flattery, just south of Cape Melville. The warning area extends from Cairns to Lockhart River, and the storm is expected to continue inland and move out over the Gulf of Carpentaria. If we check again the JTWC map, you can see how the storm moves over the waters once more by day 2, and into day 3 it becomes possibly a Hurricane Force cyclone again near Gove Airport, and then moves along the northern coast of the top end there, skirting the coast as a weakening tropical storm, not quite coming in the angle it landed. It will move further west than that, and will significantly be weaker too, and moving towards the west, possibly moving near Darwin towards the north. Oh. So lots of images appear there. So that's Cyclone Nathan currently. Don't know whether we may be seeing the eye starting to come out again. I think we can still see it on radar, where we're seeing wind gusts of 97 kilometers per hour, I think it was. But currently we're seeing sustained winds on Bougainville Reef of 70 kilometers per hour. Along the coast of Queensland, the highest we're seeing is 33 at Cairns. As far as rainfall is concerned, not so much. I don't know if you could shed some light on this, Jason, but 2 of those stations there don't show rainfall totals, the ones closest to the storm. Is that because they don't have rainfall information, or because there's been nothing reported? I'm guessing it might be the former, actually, because I'm seeing some 0 values further west. But 26...
I don't know.
Oh, hello.
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 I wasn't expecting you to talk. That's fine.
I don't think they have rainfall totals there.
Yeah, that's what I'd imagine. 26 millimeters reported on Willis Island since 9 a.m. And it must be... we're past 9 a.m. now, so have they just started counting, or are they still finishing up from the previous 24 hours? Doesn't actually say on that one. Oh, that's Holmes Reef.
I can't read that.
You can't read?
No, no, I can read. It's just the screen's too small to read.
Yeah. But I can read it because my screen is large enough.
Yeah.
If you could just click... Oh, he's clicked already. What we're looking at now, that's Bougainville Reef. That's where we've seen the highest wind speed so far. Wind gust, the highest so far we've seen 95 kilometers per hour, around 60 miles per hour, with the highest sustained winds of around 72 kilometers per hour, around 45 miles per hour. Air pressure around the lowest we've seen so far around 1005. Temperature steady at around 28 degrees C, fairly warm. I'm just trying to take a look at... Oh yes, rainfall totals for Willis Island have ticked back to 0 now. So Willis reported 26 millimeters in the last 24 hours and is yet to report anything in the first hour. That's why all the others say 0 now as well, I guess. I'm looking at the same screen at the moment. But yeah, you can see the structure of the storm towards the north of Holmes Reef and towards probably the east-northeast of Bougainville Reef. And we're expecting the storm to make landfall somewhere near Cape Flattery, possibly as a Category 4 on the Australian scale. And Stephen P. Shaw says, joining in late, got a question. Nathan was only supposed to be an 85 knot storm. Now it's supposed to go up to 100 knots. I want to know why. Well, I've been looking at the maps. When I did the update earlier today, the recorded update on Cyclone Nathan that went out at 2:30, I did notice that the sea surface temperatures, despite Nathan lingering around the area for so long, still warm, 28 degrees or so. And wind shear, very, very low at this point as well. I suspect that that's one of the main reasons the storm has intensified as well. Dry air lingering to the south, not really affecting the storm. Of course, it's had a bout of rapid intensification as well. So that's why the storm's intensified. Whether we'll see more intensification or not, still, we'll still have to see on that. Stephen also suggests, we had some chats about this in past chats where we were speculating whether the solar storms ramp up the system, and we've had one recently. And it's, in my opinion, inconclusive, Stephen. There's the latest visible image from Cyclone Nathan. Certainly appears to still be wrapping itself up nicely.
I've got a question.
Oh, Daniel has a question. Hello.
Yeah. Do the tides have an effect? Pardon? Okay.
Go on.
Do the tides have an effect on a hurricane at all whatsoever?
The tides?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the other way around, really. The hurricane affecting the tides.
Oh.
Because, of course, they generate the highest storm surges.
Mm.
What was the highest? You remember one of the highest storm surges. I don't know whether it was the highest or whether it's even anywhere close to being the highest, if my voice doesn't go. But Cyclone Mahina, which affected the eastern coast of Australia way back in whenever it was, 1890, whatever. And that was a really strong storm, wasn't it? 40 feet or 40 meters of storm surge. It was a really silly amount that was reported anyway. That moved inland. I can't remember where exactly that occurred. I'm guessing it was along the Queensland coast or somewhere like that.
Can hurricanes cause tsunamis?
No, that's earthquakes,
No.
Daniel.
Oh yeah, I'm just interested.
Oh, Jason has just actually linked us a little link about the Aurora Australis, flaring across Australia and New Zealand and skies. I'm guessing towards the south. It's usually a polar event. I know that we're watching here in the UK as well. All points north of where I'm located at Force 13 HQ in Manchester. All points north of here. We could be seeing possible northern lights occurring this evening. So I'll be keeping eyes on that, and I'll be filming if I see anything.
I think I should have a look.
Yeah, you should have a look. And I notice, just looking at the images on there, some of those lights are pink. I've never seen it pink before. Just the green ones that you normally see.
I saw some of them yesterday as well.
What was that?
Me?
I saw some yesterday.
Ah, down in Perth. Excellent. What latitude are you at there?
I don't know.
Oh.
It was pretty far north, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was
this
thinking.
event occurred.
I've never
So
actually
it's around,
seen it myself before.
Yeah, it just happened randomly. I didn't expect it to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a chance here in the UK, and indeed a much larger chance in the north of Scotland and in Scandinavia and all those areas tonight. Of course, we've already seen it last night. I think they had it in Canada and northern parts of America as well, Alaska, those areas. It's a busy time in terms of what's the word for it? Geomagnetic stuff.
Hello?
Yes, Daniel, you're there. You're on here.
Yeah. What's the cloud cover like in Manchester?
I'm actually trying to gauge that at the moment. It was cloudy earlier. The forecast was calling for clearing skies. Looking at the temperature outside, it's half a degree above freezing, so I'm expecting it's going to be clear skies because it usually doesn't get that cold. Martinez Julian wants to know, what website are you using for that satellite image, Jason?
Oh, it's the realearth.ssec. Should be able to look for Real Earth
links. If you search Real Earth, but the whole link is realearth.ssec.wsic.edu. Don't know whether you can see it on your screens in his address bar at the top of that. I can on mine, but I don't think it comes out as good quality on our stream. But it's called Real Earth anyway. You should find it from there. So, those of you who are perhaps just joining us at this point, Cyclone Nathan, the radar loop there showing on my screen, but also warnings in effect for what may be a Category 4 landfall from Cairns to Lockhart River. Warnings extending for that area. Where we could possibly see winds of over 150 kilometers per hour along the coast there, possibly up to 200. Depends how much intensification we see before landfall. It could even be stronger than that. We may even see a storm of Larry's proportions, which we saw on a very similar time of year back in 2006, only that struck further south near Innisfail, which of course contributed to more of that $1.1 billion price tag that occurred. Wasn't Yasi a similar amount of damage as well? Was that more? Certainly a larger system, wasn't it?
Definitely.
And just out of curiosity, actually, a question from me to Jason. What's the worst storm you've ever seen on the west coast there?
I don't know, probably George, Cyclone George.
And how did Olwyn compare in the end?
It didn't do much. It's pretty much the same as Bianca for me. Cyclone Bianca and Olwyn, they just came through with just quick wind and rain, and that's it.
Yeah, of course, Perth quite a way down there. Probably would have been significantly worse along the coast, the western coast of Australia there. Did we actually have any totals on whether how much damage occurred or whether there were any fatalities on that one?
No. I don't think there weren't any first one.
Yeah, I don't think so either. All I saw was a picture of a plane that got thrown up into the air, a light aircraft, and landed on the house or something like that. Of course, pales in comparison to what we've seen from Cyclone Pam, and I'll try and get some more information to read out to you now, unless Daniel has anything for us.
No.
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 You sounded more disgruntled every time I ask you.
Yeah, because that's a silly question.
Well, let me just read out one a post here on this UNICEF website saying that. Oh, if it doesn't freeze on me, I'll be able to tell you what it says when it stops freezing. Yeah, food stocks are rapidly dwindling after Super Cyclone Pam tore through Vanuatu last Friday night. Not only damaging most homes and schools, the cyclone has also destroyed crops and plantations, food sources thousands of islanders rely on. Many children are scavenging for fruits that fell on the ground, but soon even those stocks will run out. Children, pregnant women and new mothers are particularly at risk from malnutrition, especially in these challenging conditions. It must be a really bad situation over there in Vanuatu, at least in some places on some of those islands. Probably not so bad for Port Vila, but on those outlying islands, which we in some areas still don't even know about really, it may well be a desperate situation. And, unfortunately, it's not much surprise that we've seen a significant, I mean, in my opinion, one significant, but at least 11 fatalities at this point. And I expect that it may well be higher than that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we won't see too much from Cyclone Nathan, though of course Australians along the eastern coast of Queensland in the warning zone. I'm sure you know what to do. Prepare as best you can, and possibly for the worst, because it will be a significant storm. A bit compact, yes, but near the centre part of the storm, if you're anywhere near there, in the warning zone, then certainly prepare for the worst. And the worst may well be a Category 5 on the Australian wind scale, already predicting Category 4 on the Australian wind scale, but you just never know with these storms. Quite often they can intensify just before landfall and could push it towards Category 5. Alternatively, on the flip side, it may well weaken. Let's hope for that. It's happened before. We may well see weakening before landfall, but at present, we're currently seeing Category 4 on the Australian scale, expected landfall with winds of at least 185 kilometers per hour expected. That's in the next 24 hours. That's going to be tonight on the eastern coast of Queensland, local time, probably in the early hours of the morning. Australian Bureau of Meteorology expecting landfall at around 3 a.m. on March the 20th. Time here in the UK, 11:53 p.m. Local time in Queensland is nearly 5 minutes to 10.
All right. Should we mention something about donations and?
Yes, please, Daniel. I know that our friend Jean, who couldn't be with us this evening, was posting out information about how to donate if you're willing to give for victims of Cyclone Pam, of course. Do you have any information for us there, Dan? Could you find that message that Gina posted on our chat room?
I'm not sure because the hangout will probably end up crashing.
Oh, I see.
It's not very convenient.
Let me try to find it in that case then.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it at this point. That's quite difficult. A lot of things were said on that conversation today. Oh, there we are. Yeah, I've found it now. Yeah, donation links for the Red Cross, Red Crescent, and UNICEF for those who wish to help Vanuatu in at least some way. The donation link for the Red Cross or Red Crescent is www.ifrc.org/en/get-involved/donate, or alternatively, I'd suggest that you just search IFRC space donate on a search engine of your choice, and you'll probably find it. For UNICEF, I would suggest, it's a long link, I would suggest that you just search support UNICEF and then space donate, and you'll probably find it on there as well. If you'd like to donate to the Red Cross or the Red Crescent or UNICEF, Red Cross, Red Crescent, the same, aren't they? For those who wish to help Vanuatu, the images coming out of Vanuatu, fairly grim at this point, so I'm sure they need all your support, as will the people of Vanuatu, for supplies to come rolling in the next few weeks, considering that food methods of growing food appear to be greatly diminished on Vanuatu, and that's only in the places that we know about. And obviously that's not going to be a problem that will be eradicated overnight. It may go on for weeks, months, maybe longer than that. But hey, another show has flown by for a whole hour there. So let me just take a look. No more questions. So let me do a recap of what's going on around the world right now. Cyclone Nathan, winds, last time we knew, 90 miles per hour. Its air pressure was 963 millibars. Early indications show that it may be as low as 954 at this point. There's the latest image. Intensifying still, I wager, and heading towards Australia. Could make landfall as a Category 3 storm on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. That's Category 4 on the Australian scale, with winds around 185 kilometers per hour. That's what we're currently expecting. That's Cyclone Nathan. That's the latest update. Warnings in effect from Cairns to, where was it? To Lockhart River, including all points in between and inland as far as Cone, Laura and Palmerville. Tropical Depression Bavi is still going, just about 25 miles per hour at this point. Pagasa have named it Betty. May go on to affect the Philippines, but we don't expect there'll be very much left of it at all. Invest 97p may become another headache for the not the Philippines, for the Pacific. Could become our next tropical cyclone and may go on to affect Fiji in the next few days. Models suggesting as much. We'll keep our eyes on that and do live updates whenever required. Well, that's all that's going on around the tropics at this time. So just the 3 systems that we're looking at. Jason's showing us Bavi, the new image on that this morning. Not much left of it apart from an exposed low-level circulation by the looks of things. And some light cloud cover beginning to affect the eastern Philippines. A massive swathe of dry air right above the storm, right on the storm. So that's probably the main reason why it's no longer with us. Well, time's 11:57 here in the UK. We're about to enter the 19th of March 2015. And on this day, we've seen 19 tropical storms form so far this year. What's the number now? 10, I think, have become Category 1 hurricanes or equivalent on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, and I think it was it 6 or a different number? I'm going to have to look it up now on my own website. And 6 of them, yes, I was right, have become Category 3 storms with winds of 115 miles per hour or higher. Nathan may well become number 7. And we've seen 3 Category 5 storms on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale this year so far, which is higher than the whole of 2011 worldwide and level with the whole of 2012. And just a little footnote at the end of our show, Force 13 will be launching a new space channel on Friday. What a week to do it as well, by the way. Northern Lights, Southern Lights, everything's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
And of course, the big solar eclipse on Friday occurring just north of the British Isles. We will hopefully be filming that, and we'll post it online later in the day on Friday for your viewing pleasure. Hopefully we'll get a good shot of it.
Can I just add something in?
Yeah.
Feel free to join the chat room as well. We've got a chat room.
Or indeed, if you think you have anything interesting to contribute to our chats whilst we're on air, you can also do that too.
Yeah.
Also, we're always looking for new recruits. Excellent stuff. Well, that's it from us for now. I was Nathan Foy. I was joined by Daniel and would you like to reveal your last name or not? I'll just leave it in first name terms. We're joined. I don't mind revealing my surname, but other people do. We're joined by Daniel and Jason this evening, or this morning, in terms of Jason being in Western Australia. And hopefully we'll see you again sometime soon. We also had Nick at the start of the show, but he seemed to have dropped out somewhere, probably internet problems or something like that. Hope you have a good evening or morning wherever you are around the world. And we'll keep the updates flowing on Cyclone Nathan as and when it's needed. It'll probably have to be a mobile update tomorrow evening because I won't be here. I'll be in a hotel somewhere up north. So, pardon me. That's all from us for now, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.